To the United Stand, this is your latest Manchester United news. Lots to get through this morning. Lots of stories coming around about the managerial situation, but we'll also have some interesting updates around a poll about what United fans think. To be honest, I think the poll needs flushing down the toilet, but I'll tell you why in a minute. Maybe we should be running this poll on the United Stand because I think you'll get a better reflection of a wider range of the United fan base. But we'll talk about those polls in a moment. Results like fans want Ronaldo to go and would rather have Maguire as captain over Ronaldo. It makes you question what sort of people are on that poll, but we'll look about that in a moment. Also a little bit about TCHOUAMENI, David De Gea, a bit about Harry Kane and a few other bits as well. But we're going to start off with the latest sort of coming in overnight about Real Madrid again firmly getting in the race for Mauricio Pochettino and what this would mean for Manchester United. There's also quite an interesting story from Mark Ogden talking about United's wide-ranging plan to assess lots of managers. Richard Arnold and the Glazers are going to do this. Woohoo! And they're even going to consider people like Nagelsmann and Inzaghi, who they know they can't get. That's a good use of time, isn't it? Make it so wide-ranging. You know, let's look at Pep and Klopp as well. We're not going to get them, but at least we can say we had a wide-ranging look. It's a bit like the Wan-Bissaka thing, isn't it? We looked at 150 right-backs. Well, our scouting's brilliant. We looked at 150 right-backs before we got Wan-Bissaka, and then we spent £50 million on him. Yeah, we're so wide-ranging in what we look at. I mean, to be honest, we can all look at a lot of things. Doesn't mean you're going to get the right thing, and I think United might want to speak to people who actually know what they're bloody on about. Listening to a lot of you lot would probably help for a start. Anyway, let's start off with this story that Real Madrid are apparently very interested in getting Pochettino as a replacement for Ancelotti. Now, there's two ways of looking at this. One, this story is true, or two, it's a bit of spin. I don't really know which way to go on this. I mean, I will go one way or another because I hate sitting on the fence, but I'll tell you what I think first of all. So, do I think that Real Madrid are interested in Pochettino? Yes. Why do I think that? Because there's a lot of stories about it, both in Spain and a lot in England, to be fair, which I'll come back to in a moment as well. But the reality is Real Madrid have, for most of my life, been quite reactionary. And what I mean by that is, I remember them getting Zidane, Roberto Carlos, Figo, David Beckham, the Galactico era. Real Madrid are very well known for going and getting something that's good and obvious. That's why they want Mbappe, that's why they want Haaland, they might go for Pogba. They went for Hazard. They will go for that obvious thing. And Pochettino played them off the park last week in a style of football that Florentino Perez would not have liked seeing Real Madrid humiliated by PSG. There is a lot of bad blood professionally between PSG and Real Madrid. And Real Madrid are desperate to wind PSG up. They want Mbappe. They probably want the manager as well. I mean, that might make it hard to do because PSG won't want their manager to go to Real Madrid. But then again, PSG want Zidane, who used to be at Real Madrid. So I can see Real Madrid wanting Pochettino because Real Madrid will have seen how well he played against them last week, and he knows Pochettino's got a good relationship with Mbappe. So I can definitely see that Real Madrid are interested in Pochettino. The question will be, do they want to move on from Ancelotti, who's well liked there after just 1 year and who will have won 2 La Ligas? He won La Liga last year, didn't he? And he's probably going to win it again this year. So I'm not so sure it will happen, but I would concede that there probably is some interest. There's been interest in Pochettino from Real Madrid before. So yes, that could definitely happen. However, the cynic in me would say that there is a second option and that this is part of what we've seen for the last 3 or 4 weeks. There's a lot of stories about Pochettino to Manchester United, and a lot of them don't make sense. Was it 2 weeks ago, Rangnick's the manager, and there's a leak coming out about Pochettino and the players wanting Pochettino? We had one at the weekend that the players want Pochettino, and it just seems to me that there are leaks coming out of Manchester United about Pochettino. Now, whether they're coming from the spin doctors, whether they're coming from the board, whether they're coming from the players, there is definitely something about Pochettino and Manchester United going on. And I just get a little bit cynical when I see more stories about, oh, we're going to lose Pochettino to Real Madrid. And are we meant to go, oh no, please don't get Pochettino now? And you just never know with United. You never know. This could be that manipulation I was talking about yesterday. You know, you couldn't move yesterday for, Scott McTominay's the next Roy Keane, and Bruno Fernandes is the next Cantona, and Jadon Sancho's the next George Best. I know I'm over-egging the pudding there, but what the club's like. They are like that. You get one good result against Leeds and suddenly it's echoes of the past. And I think they do try to manipulate us, and I wouldn't be surprised with this Pochettino story that we're meant to be going, oh no, if Real Madrid want Pochettino, we must get him. Oh, we've got him. Up yours, PSG, who sacked him. Up yours, Real Madrid, who never wanted him. We've got him. It's Harry Maguire again. It's Alexis Sanchez again. Swivel on it, Man City. We've made Sanchez the best played player in Premier League history, and he's playing a piano. The joke's on you. Play that tune, Sanchez. We have a massive history of this, of trying to spin a mistake into a positive. Still, I hear people, even Harry Maguire himself has said that he could have gone to another club and he chose Man United. And, I don't think Man City ever would have paid £80 million for Harry Maguire. They were never going to pay £50 million for Fred, and they were never going to pay Alexis Sanchez 450 grand a week. They were interested, but we were like, we've won it. And I do worry about the Pochettino thing, that it could be like that maybe Real Madrid aren't really interested. Maybe you're not. Look, let me put it this way. In my opinion, Manchester United Football Club want Pochettino. In my opinion, some of Manchester United players want Pochettino. Who's got the power at Manchester United? It's certainly not the fans. Certainly not the fans. No way. So if they want Pochettino, they have to find a way to get Pochettino. And what they know at the moment is that the vast majority of the fans don't want Pochettino. So they've got to try and create a scenario where we want Pochettino. And they've tried the leak last couple of weeks ago and people reacted badly to it. Maybe this is just another thing. Oh, Real Madrid want Pochettino. Oh, we better get him. We better get him. Glad you enjoyed 21 Bridges. It was directed by my dad, Brian Kirk. Daniel Kirk, thank you very much. I knew somebody had told me in the chat, and now it makes sense. Yeah, well, Daniel, your dad made a very good film. I loved it. 21 Bridges. Really, really good. Thanks for the recommendation. It took me a while to watch it, but I would recommend anybody watch it on Netflix. I really enjoyed it. Sort of a cross between a sort of like a Die Hard thing and then Heat. It's good. I almost think it could have been a Netflix series, really. But yeah, very good. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, pal. If we can't get Ten Hag, would you stick with Ralph? I love the show, says Dan the Real. Right, well, this brings me on to the next point I wanted to talk about. So let me read you the direct quote on this. This is coming from Mark Ogden, who's sort of like a Manchester United correspondent for the ESPN, and he says this: the Glazers and Richard Arnold are determined to undertake a comprehensive managerial search, analysing strengths and weaknesses of each appointment, their playing style, players they would need, and the prospect of persuading them to take the Manchester United job. Basically, they're going to do a manager search on Football Manager 22 for 5 minutes in a couple of months. I mean, the Glazers and Richard Arnold are determined to undertake a comprehensive managerial search. I'm not lying here. The Glazers and Richard Arnold don't know anything about football. And I know that sounds really horrible, but they don't know anything about football. They'll know what a goal is. They'll know how many minutes you play in each half. They'll know who starts for United. But there's knowing football and there's knowing football. You know the difference between that. These people don't know football. And who are you going to get to do it? Who are you going to ask to do it? Murta, who's been here for years, Fletcher with his CV, or are you going to get Ranić to do it? I'm sorry, I don't trust these people to make the right decisions for Manchester United, and that does not make me feel confident. The Glazers and Arnold are going to do a wide searching look for a manager that involves analysing their strengths, their weaknesses, their playing style, players they would need, and the prospect of persuading them to take the job. I mean, what sort of wide-ranging crap is that? What does it even mean? The Glazers and Richard Arnold are going to search for a manager. Well done. I'm meant to be impressed by the fact that you're going to look at their weaknesses and their strengths, their playing style, and how suitable they'd be for Manchester United. Have we not done that before then? Did we just pick names out of a hat when we got Mourinho, Van Gaal, Ollie, and everybody else? I mean, you've been doing this for 10 years. This is your 5th try. I have no confidence in them. And the fact that you want Pochettino, and let's be honest, you want Pochettino, just says everything about this football club. Pochettino's a good coach, but as far as I'm concerned, he's not on the same page as some other coaches. They're exciting and are going to be the next big thing. I'll guarantee you now, Pochettino's not going to be the next big thing. He's not. He's not. If he was, then it wouldn't be Man United who wanted him. It would be bigger clubs than us. And I don't think he's going to be the next thing. But I don't want Ralph to stay no, Jessica. I want Ralph to go upstairs and be involved in this sort of process, recruitment, working with the manager. rebuilding the club under a proper reset is what I want to see with Ralf Rangnick. I don't want to see him as the manager for the reasons I said last night. I think he's become tainted by this season. I think he's had to look, he's publicly been undermined, and I think when you've been undermined, any manager's probably going to get undermined at Man United. You know, Mourinho said he was undermined, Van Gaal, it's very obvious Ollie was, and Rangnick has been as well. So look, the next manager will be undermined, but I think when you've been publicly undermined, you know, that leaves a bad taste in the fans' mouth. And I think that with Rangnick, I don't really like the way he's handled the midfield recruitment. Obviously, he wanted one, he didn't get it. I don't really like the way the Lingard thing was handled. He wanted him to go, he stayed. I'm not too sure about how this captaincy thing's been handled. I don't think it's been handled particularly well either. But again, I think that just shows his lack of power. So, you know, as harsh as it is, you know what? I will say it. I don't want to say it, but I will say it. I think it's very obvious that Rangnick's a puppet. And people won't like me saying that because Rangnick is a really intelligent guy who actually lets more information out than Ollie. But ultimately, he's a reluctant puppet, but he's still a puppet because he's not had the things he wanted. The things he wanted to happen haven't happened, and therefore he's not in charge. And it amazes me when people say, wow, clearly Rangnick's in charge, Mark. He's the manager, this, that and the other. He says he's in charge, but we already know he's not. We already know at least 3 big decisions that he's been overruled on. So he's not in charge. He's not in charge. Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, they would not have been told you're not having a midfielder. They would not have been told to keep a player that when the player wants to go and he wants to go. I like Rangnick. I think he's done a good job, but we're talking about whether I want him to take the job next year. And I mean, you know what? Ultimately, I suppose the honest answer is that the next manager's going to be a puppet as well. You know, let's be fair to Rangnick. Let's be fair to Mourinho. Let's be fair to Ollie and Van Gaal and Moyes. They've all been undermined. You know, this has been going on for 10 years. It's probably one of the most important things to have in your mind. You know, when you get excited about a manager, a lot of people say, why don't you get excited about the manager? And I'm like, because, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again. And I know that's very applicable to Manchester United, but you can apply it to yourself. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again. Any United fan who's getting excited about the new manager in the summer, that's the definition of insanity. Van Gaal was exciting. Mourinho was exciting. You know, Ollie was exciting at the time. It was a mistake. We should have all seen it, but it was exciting. This will be the 5th manager that we've got that we're meant to be getting excited about, thinking it's going to be a rebuild. The reason, I'm very, 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 very sure about this. Even if we got Pep Guardiola, even if we got Jurgen Klopp, even if we got Pep and Klopp as a dream team, they wouldn't win the title with this club. There is a very clear and precise reason why we won't succeed, and it's the owners and the board. And, you know, last week we're arguing about Ronaldo or Harry Maguire, or even Bruno Fernandes as the captain. Honestly now, answer me this question. If Harry Maguire wasn't the captain and Ronaldo was the captain or Bruno was the captain, would we be 3rd? No. We wouldn't be any better than where we are now. So in a way, the whole bloody captaincy thing, of course I believe that Ronaldo or Bruno are a better captain than Maguire. I mean, his CV's rubbish and he's not played very well this season. That's a very obvious argument. But ultimately, would it make us a better team? Maybe a bit, but we wouldn't be 3rd. So we're arguing about, it's like the Leeds result. The Leeds result's really good. And we should celebrate it. I don't agree with people saying, oh, look at United acting like they've won the league. Fans, I've got no problem with. The club and social media, I don't trust. But ultimately, there's levels to this game. And changing the captain wouldn't make us win the league. And that's what we want, really. We want to win the league. How do we win the league? Well, we're bloody miles away. But to do that, I don't think there's a manager on this planet who can do it. We need a change in that football club. And appointing a fans representative is not going to make us win the league. You know, fixing up the stadium is not going to make us win the league. Changing the manager is not going to make us win the league. Changing the owners, well, that's when we can dare to dream. Can anyone be the next big thing at 52 with no CV, says Robert McCormack. I think he's talking about Ten Hag. Well, Robert, you've got to give us a clue. Give us a clue with Robert McCormack. give us a clue. I don't know who you're talking about, Robert. I presume you might be talking about Ten Hag, but I don't want to take the show in the wrong way. But Ten Hag's CV is Ajax, isn't it? You know, that you either trust, you know, there's a risk, but, you know, Poch is past it. He would do nothing at Man United, says the satisfied customer. Anyway, look, this takes it quite nicely. We're getting into a bit of a debate here, so I wanted to just read you this. This is, we're going to do this. We're going to do some polls, I think. I'm going to do it on the community page today, and then we'll cover it at 7 o'clock today. I'm going to do all these polls again, properly, on the community page of the United Stand. So make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, but go on the community tab on the homepage throughout the day because I'm going to redo these. So this is from The Athletic. The Athletic have surveyed Manchester United supporters. Now, first of all, The Athletic have surveyed Manchester United supporters, but they've surveyed Manchester United supporters who read The Athletic, I presume, of which I don't, and I'm sure a lot of you don't, because I don't mind The Athletic, but there are certain journalists at The Athletic, apart from David Ornstein, who are, in my opinion, very close to the club, and therefore, if you're putting out that type of content, you're going to get that type of fan who is quite loyal to the club, I think. Not necessarily loyal to the Glazers, but loyal to the club. I'm very loyal to the club, you're very loyal to the club, but there's a different type of loyalty. You know what I mean? It's the people who don't really want to say bad things about the club. Anyway, some of these results are good, some of them are very worrying. Over 50% don't want Ronaldo at the club next season. Who's done this poll? I refuse to believe over 50% of Man United fans don't want Ronaldo at the club next season. So I mean, it's almost like sentences that precede nonsense. Like, The Athletic surveyed Manchester United supporters. Top line afterwards, over 50% don't want Ronaldo at the club. You've just destroyed your own poll. Credibility-wise, you've just destroyed your own poll. In fact, look, most of you lot watching this channel right now, let's just do it. You know, I might be wrong. Do you want Ronaldo here next season? There we go. You vote. We've got nearly 8,000 people watching. Get voting on that. So over 50% of our fans don't want Ronaldo at the club next season. Well, that's funny because I would actually think in a real poll it would be more than 75% that do want him at the club, maybe even 80%. 58% want Ten Hag. That's too low. I mean, they're right, but that's too low. I guarantee you now that about 75% of United fans want Ten Hag, so that's too low. So they're wrong on Ronaldo, they're wrong on Ten Hag. More think Maguire should be captain than Ronaldo. Bullshit. I don't know who they're getting to do this poll, but it's bullshit. There's just no, nothing against Maguire, but there's absolutely no way, if you spoke to proper United fans, they would say they want Harry Maguire as captain more than Ronaldo. And you know why I know that? Because I guarantee if you said to any United fan now, who would you rather have captain, Harry Maguire or Jadon Sancho? They'd say Jadon Sancho, because most United fans at the moment, all right, he did well at the weekend, don't think he's had a good season and don't think he's a very good captain. So I don't know who they've got to vote on that, but that's ridiculous as well. 56% think Man United won't win the Premier League again until 2026 to 2030. I mean, that's wrong as well. 56%. So 44% of United fans think we're going to win the title before 2030. I don't think they do. I mean, I might be wrong. I know, of course, this is only my opinion. I'm just saying that. But I genuinely think United fans are more switched on. And I don't think there's really any United fan that's got any level of confidence that we will win the league in the next 8 years. There's no prospect of it. This team is ageing. It's full of players that aren't good enough. We're owned by the Glazers. There's other clubs better run than us. You can't just look in the future and go, wow, we might not win the league for the next couple of years, but give it 4 or 5 years and we'll do it. 4 or 5 years goes quite quickly in football. You've got to have a structure to do it. We have got no structure to win a league. And then 59% say for Bruno Fernandes is the most important player. Again, I don't agree with that. I just don't agree that 59% or 60% basically believe that Bruno Fernandes is our most important player. So a very weird poll, in my opinion, because it just doesn't seem right. I don't know. Maybe somebody knows where they've got their information from, but that is a dangerous thing. Again, it's a bit like I was talking about yesterday about Tim Sherwood talking about Varane and saying he needs to drop him and he's been terrible. And yet Varane played in none of the games where we've been smashed this season. He's won more aerial duels than Harry Maguire. He's made way more tackles than Harry Maguire. He's got a better passing rate than Harry Maguire. He's basic, and I'm not saying Maguire's crap, but what I'm saying is Varane's not had a bad season. And ultimately as well, I don't know where that poll's coming from, but that goes round, and there will be gullible people swallowing that bullshit that half United fans want Ronaldo to go. It's scary. It's a scary world we live in. There are big things going on in the world, I know, but that is scary to me. Where is this information coming from? Because that is not a fair reflection of United fans I know and listen to and interact with. And I'm not even talking about, I read a lot of stuff from people who don't like the United stand, because ultimately that's how you get to know what the United fan base thinks. I will read some of the fanzines. I will go on some of the forums. I will look at what people who don't like the United stand are saying about United, because that's the only way you can open up your mind to what's really going on in the fan base. And I absolutely cannot understand that poll. It makes no sense. I mean, on our poll, we've had 3,500 vote. Do you want Ronaldo here next season? 78% say yes. But they're saying over 50% say no. One's right and one's wrong, really, aren't they? Mark, I'm very tired of the Glazers, but removing them can be a possibility by cancelling them. By that I mean emailing the sponsors and complain. Well, they try. Aussie, it's not our jobs to get the Glazers out of this football club. There are proper organisations like Manchester United Supporters Trust who should be leading on those sort of things, and it's not on the agenda at the moment, and it's certainly not something that a fan content channel can do on its own. It can't do it. So, we have supported things in the past and always will support things that are for the betterment of the football club, but there is no appetite like there was after the Super League to do anything about it, and that appetite was destroyed by a bloody Zoom call with Joel Glazer. So, the fan base is its own worst enemy at times. We just can't do what needs to be done, and I don't know. I can't start it, Pally. I can't. It makes me laugh when people say that something like the United stand can start getting the Glazers out of this football club. Actually can't. It's been looked into many times. Actually can't do it on your own, because the minute you start doing something like let's all meet up on Saturday and have a protest, there'll be a load of people there looking to have a fight with you, because they'll go, it's embarrassing to the club. So you just have to let everybody get on with it. I think people think, Robert McCormack says with Ten Hag, people think he's 36. I don't really think age comes into it, Robert, for me. I don't think age comes into it at all. I mean, 52 is still very young for a manager. I think some people do get very obsessed with the Peps and the Gelsmans who are very, very young, but I don't have a problem with Ten Hag being 52. I think the risk with Ten Hag, I would go for Ten Hag, by the way, under Rangnick, but the risk with Ten Hag is more about whether he can adapt to the Premier League. That's more my issue there. We have got Rangnick's press conference coming up for you as well. I think it's about 1:30 ahead of this game. Just a bit of a spoiler for Wednesday. Apparently Cavani's not available again. I know people weren't happy with him because he was at the boxing, but Cavani is just not reliable. From game to game, you can't. It's almost. I'm just going to put Ronaldo up front in every preview from now on, because you just don't know whether Cavani's going to be fit or just pull out at the last second. He must be brilliant for safe sex. Who is the most important player at the club? Says Ben Sayers. And dude, I'm not even hating, but Messi looks done for PSG. I don't even know why people are talking about Messi in the chat, really. I did want to just talk about two things transfer related. De Gea says that he'd like to stay at the club longer. I think that's really positive news. I'm not going to get involved into. I mean, I have to keep myself out of it, because I really don't understand why we're having this conversation about De Gea all the time. Player of the year, easily player of the year for me. I can't see anybody coming through and taking it off him. Easily player of the year. And I suppose the sentence with De Gea is, our player of the year should be replaced. I'll leave that with you. Apparently our player of the year should be replaced, and he's the problem at Man United. Alright, it's not the fact that we're a bagel and we've got no midfield. It's not the fact that we play a deep defensive line because our most expensive centre-back can't play high line. It's not the fact that our full-backs, we've not really solved that problem. It's not the fact that we haven't got a right winger. It's not the fact that we don't create enough chances. it's the goalkeeper's fault. Nonsense. Sign him on a new contract and shut these haters down. And then TCHOUAMENI, I just thought I'd bring this in. TCHOUAMENI, because I was looking around Real Madrid and their interest in Pochettino, and apparently around TCHOUAMENI, Real Madrid are starting to look at TCHOUAMENI for this summer. Their only issue is the price that Monaco would want. Now remember, Real Madrid could be getting Haaland, Mbappe. They may well move for Pogba as well. Are they going to have the funds to go for TCHOUAMENI? I think there's an option there for United. I don't know whether they're going to look at this option, but ultimately, I think going back to the manager situation, if you get Pochettino, you're probably going to buy people like Rice and Kane, because Pochettino, Premier League experience. You're probably going to go down that route, and we've been down that route before. Pochettino, to me, is just a weaker Mourinho. Mourinho came in, and it will be the similar sort of signings. All right, there was a couple of Zlatans and Mkhitaryan's and Pogba's and I think Lindelof's, but very much Premier League focused. He knows what the Premier League's all about, and I think that's what Pochettino would be like. I think if you go down the Ten Hag route, you've got more chance of bringing in people like an Antony or a TCHOUAMENI or a Kamara, people like that. I think we'd go more European if we go with Ten Hag, whereas I think Pochettino would go more Premier League, and I think that's again why they want him. Man United are obsessed with Premier League players, and why they're obsessed with Premier League players, because they tend to come with big social media followings. Player of the year when United are struggling isn't a high standard, says Liskip. Well, mate, it clearly is. I mean, I just think people are disrespectful. He's made more saves than anybody else, and people cannot come back at me on that one. Whenever I defend De Gea, I always say, why has he made more saves than any goalkeeper in the league? And they try and they can't do it. Well, that's because he's busy. Maybe if he was making less saves, it means he's a better keeper. No, yeah, because the goalkeeper decides how many people have a shot at him. He's having so many shots against him and he's having to make so many saves because the team in front of him is shite most of the season. So David De Gea, as Player of the Year, deserves Player of the Year. He's made more saves than any goalkeeper in the league. So the bar has been set very high by De Gea. Unfortunately, it's everybody else who is nowhere near him. But Jeff Bezos should buy United. Problem solved, says Isma. And I would love people who have agendas against Ronaldo or De Gea to think and count the world-class players that we have. Players who can play in Bayern or City. Think about the Maguires now, says Fahad. Look, everyone's got their right to an opinion. But what I cannot understand, and I can use all the analogies you want, but I cannot understand how when you're, it's that one I said last night, isn't it? You're walking around in a pair of trainers and nothing else. You're naked apart from your pair of trainers. You get 100 quid and you go into the trainer shop and said, oh, I'd like to upgrade my trainers. But you're naked from you're not wearing anything else. Maybe buy some clothes. Your trainers are good. Well, I want a better pair. There's a newer model. It's just not the problem to solve. And yet people are obsessed with it. They're absolutely... It's like they think if you get a better De Gea, the rest of the team's going to play well. Look, even if David De Gea's distribution went up from 91% to 100%, which is an improvement, he's still passing the ball to Maguire, McTominay, Fred. Distribution's nothing if you're giving it to shit players. We need a better team. I'm not saying that in 3 or 4 years, if we build a better team, we might need a better goalkeeper, but it's on the list of priorities, of which 10 of them are urgent. I would say David De Gea is probably around 39. He is not anywhere near the top list of priorities. And neither is Ronaldo. Hi, Mark. I asked Adam about Ancelotti. Would you take him? He is a winner, says Mikael Roach. Ancelotti is a decent manager and I really like him. I don't know whether he's had his time. It feels a bit like... I'm reluctant to go for managers that I feel they've had their time. Mourinho was 3 years too late. I wanted Mourinho after Sir Alex, and I think we would have had a different relationship and a different success. Even though Mourinho is the most successful manager we've had since Sir Alex, let's not forget he won 2 trophies. I feel that Ancelotti would be a mistake because I think he's had his time. On the same level, I think Pochettino's had his time as well. Anyway, I've got to go because I need to get a haircut. But thanks everybody for watching. I will be back for the press conference at lunchtime. We are live at 7 o'clock tonight instead of 8 o'clock because I'm doing a Chelsea Champions League watch along, getting in the mood for United. Take care, everybody. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. I will be pulling up the polls throughout the day on the community tab. So make sure you keep an eye on the community tab because we'll be going through all these athletic polls with the United Stand equivalent today to discuss at 7. Thanks for watching. Speak to you next time.